Your wedding looked like a Pinterest fail, my aunt smirked, spearing a grape with her fork. No wonder your father didn't bother showing up. The table laughed. My mother didn't defend me, just stirred her tea, eyes lowered like betrayal had become her morning ritual. Their voices blurred into white noise. All I could hear was the echo of that night, the empty chair in the front row, the one I kept pretending wasn't for him. Hi everyone, my name is Ava Lockhart, I'm 29. And if you think success erases the sting of being ignored, think again. How do you forgive someone who taught you love should be earned like interest on a loan? When Dad skipped my wedding, the world didn't end. It just went quiet. The kind of quiet where every toast feels like a lie, every smile feels borrowed. I remember standing at the altar, clutching the bouquet he never saw, promising myself, if he wouldn't show up for my beginning, he wouldn't get an invitation to my becoming. So I built. I poured my ache into work, long nights into longer dreams, designing spaces that looked like everything I once wished home felt like, stable, warm, mine. One project turned into 10. Then 50. Then a company. Last month, I posted a single photo, a white Porsche 911 Carrera, sun cutting across its hood like vengeance dipped in gold. Caption, built from silence. 30 minutes later, my phone rang. Mom. Her voice was syrup-sweet, trembling under guilt. Ava, honey, your father saw your post. We need to talk. Family meeting tomorrow at the house. That house. The same one where he told me I'd never make it on my own. Where I once cried in my car because I wasn't the investment-worthy child. I stared at my reflection in the Porsche window, calm, polished, unreadable. Tomorrow, I'll walk through that door, not as the daughter who begged for love, but as the woman they tried to overlook, and failed to break. And trust me, I'm bringing something none of them are ready for. If this ever happened to you, say same in the comments. The morning air felt sharp, like it remembered every word my father ever said to cut me down. The Lockhart house looked the same, beige walls, perfect hedges, an overwatered lie. I parked the Porsche right in front of the porch, just close enough for its reflection to glint in the living room window. Mom was waiting at the door, wearing that familiar nervous smile that always came before bad news wrapped in family talk. You look different, she said, her eyes darting between my outfit and the car. Success suits you. Funny, I replied softly, you never said that when I was struggling. Inside, Dad sat in his armchair, the same one he never let anyone touch. His phone in hand, his glasses perched low, pretending to read. The tension in the air was thick enough to drown in. Ava, he said finally, still not looking up. We didn't call you here to fight. We just thought it's time to reconnect. Family should stay united. United, I repeated. That's rich, coming from the man who RSVP'd to his own daughter's wedding with silence. His eyes lifted, cold, defensive. I had my reasons. I know, I whispered, stepping closer. You were busy saving face while I was building one. Mom cleared her throat, trying to soften it. Your father was proud, Ava. He just didn't know how to say it. But now that you're successful, maybe we can move forward as a family again. I almost laughed. There it was, the real reason behind this sudden warmth. Not love. Not guilt. Just curiosity. They didn't miss me, they missed what I'd become. I placed a brown envelope on the table, heavy, silent, deliberate. Then let's talk family, I said. Because I brought something you'll want to see. Dad leaned forward, eyes narrowing. What's this? Proof, I said. Of who stood by me when you didn't. He froze, the kind of stillness only truth can cause. And for the first time, he didn't have a single word to say. He reached for the envelope like it might burn him. The paper crackled under his fingers. That sound alone felt louder than any apology he'd never given. What is this, Ava? Receipts, I said calmly, folding my hands. Contracts. Investments. Every dollar I used to build my business when you said I wasn't worth a cent. Mom's face paled. You're still holding on to that? No, I said. I'm holding on to myself. The version of me you left behind. Dad flipped through the papers, his jaw tightening with every page. There it was, my startup's first investor contract. My first interior design deal. A loan statement with my old address, the one-room studio I'd lived in when I couldn't even afford curtains. Every line was a reminder that I'd survived his absence. "This isn't what we meant by family meeting," Mom whispered, her voice trembling. "Maybe not," I said, "but it's what I meant by closure." Dad leaned back, scoffing. "You think showing off your success makes you right? You were always too emotional to understand business, Ava." That word, emotional, hit me like déjà vu. The same insult he used when I cried after losing my first client. The same tone he used when I asked him to walk me down the aisle. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "Business? You mean like when you loaned my brother $50,000 from my college fund and told me to be understanding?" He froze mid-breath. Mom's eyes darted toward him. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful, it was a collapse. "I didn't come here to prove I'm right," I said quietly. "I came to remind you that I was never wrong." He stared at me, trying to find the old version of me, the one who used to flinch under his tone. But she was gone. I slid my keys onto the table. "One more thing," I said. "You wanted to reconnect? Then you should know who's been helping me behind the scenes all along." The doorbell rang. And both of them went pale. The chime echoed through the house, crisp, slow, deliberate. Mom's hands twitched toward the doorknob, but I stopped her with one look. "I got it." When I opened the door, sunlight spilled in, framing the silhouette behind it like a moment meant for cinematic justice. And there he was, Eli Matthews, my father's former business partner. The man Dad once called a traitor. The man who left their company the year before everything crashed, and took me with him as an intern when no one else believed in me. Dad's face drained of color. "You brought him here?" I nodded. "His family now, the kind you choose." Eli stepped forward, polite but sharp. "Richard," he said evenly, "long time no see. Congratulations, your daughter turned out better than either of us did." Mom's jaw tightened. "What is this, Ava? Some sort of performance?" "No," I said softly. "A presentation." Eli placed a slim folder on the table beside the envelope I'd already dropped earlier. My father's hand twitched like he wanted to grab it but couldn't decide if it was better not to know. "Inside that folder," I said, "is a proposal. One that could have been yours." Dad frowned. "What are you talking about?" "I restructured the design firm you mocked into one of Eli's subsidiaries last month. And now," I said, locking eyes with him, "I'm buying the commercial property you lost in foreclosure. The same one you once said I'd never understand the value of." For the first time, he was silent, not angry, not defensive, just silent. Mom whispered, "You did all this, without us." "Yes," I said. "Without your permission. Without your help. Without your approval." Dad swallowed hard, his pride cracking in slow motion. "You came here to humiliate me." I smiled faintly. "No, Dad. I came here to return what you taught me, how to win without love." He stood up abruptly, veins visible on his temple. "You'll regret this arrogance." "Maybe," I said, turning toward the door. "But at least I'll regret it in my own house." And as I left, his reflection trembled in the Porsche's chrome. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Missed calls. Texts. Emails. Every one of them from Dad. I ignored them, each vibration felt like a ghost knocking at the door of the past. But curiosity eventually won. I opened one. "We need to talk. Alone. No theatrics this time." Theatrics. That's what he called the truth. Still, something inside me wanted to see what he'd say when he didn't have an audience. So, I drove back, not to the house, but to the park where he used to take me for ice cream before everything turned sour. He was already there, sitting on a bench, hands clasped like a man rehearsing his defense. "You made your point," he said, eyes avoiding mine. "You're successful. You've proven me wrong." "I didn't come to prove anything," I said quietly. "I came to understand why my wedding wasn't worth your time." He sighed, old and tired. "Because I couldn't handle watching you walk down that aisle. You reminded me too much of your mother when she left. You were choosing a life that didn't include me." It was strange hearing that vulnerability from a man who once treated silence like power. "I didn't want to exclude you," I said softly. You just never showed up to be included. He nodded slowly, eyes glistening but refusing to break. I was wrong. I thought control meant love. Turns out, it just built walls. For a moment, the weight between us felt human again, not father and daughter at war, but two people holding the pieces of a relationship they both cracked. Then he asked the one thing I didn't expect. Do you forgive me? I looked at him, really looked. The man who taught me resilience through rejection, strength through absence. I don't know yet, I whispered. But I'm finally free enough to find out. He nodded. Then that's a start. Maybe it was. But what he didn't know was that this story wasn't over. Because forgiveness wasn't the surprise. It was what came after. By the time I reached home that evening, the city lights were melting into gold streaks against the glass. I thought the conversation with Dad had ended something inside me, but instead, it opened a door I didn't know I'd locked. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Your father isn't well, she said. You need to come back tonight. Her voice carried that same urgency she used to have when company was coming and the house wasn't perfect yet. But this time, it felt different. Raw. When I arrived, Dad wasn't in his armchair. He was in the study, papers spread out, his old ledgers, bank files, photo albums stacked beside him like ghosts. Ava, he said softly. I've been thinking, maybe it's time to set things right. I hesitated. Set what right? He pushed a single sheet across the desk, a property deed. The same commercial building I just arranged to buy back. I want you to have it, he said. Not out of guilt. Out of respect. You earned what I couldn't keep. For a moment, I just stared at it, the irony so sharp it almost hurt to breathe. You don't need to do this, I said. I already bought it. He froze. What? I finalized it yesterday. Through Eli. It's already under my company's name. He leaned back, half in shock, half in pride he tried to hide. Then I guess, he whispered, you didn't need me after all. I never stopped wanting you, I said quietly. I just stopped waiting for you. He smiled, small, sad, almost relieved. That's my girl, he murmured. Took me too long to see her. Mom stood in the doorway, eyes shining. Dinner's ready, she whispered. And for the first time in years, we sat together, not perfect, not healed, but human. Still, the night wasn't over. Because tomorrow, my story, and my real surprise, would go public. The next morning, I woke before sunrise, that strange calm before you do something irreversible. My hands trembled slightly as I opened my laptop. The Porsche ad photo still sat at the top of my profile, glimmering like defiance frozen in pixels. But today, the caption wouldn't be silent. I typed. Sometimes the family you lose is the one that finally makes room for who you're meant to become. This is for the daughters who built empires out of being ignored. Then I attached a short video, a documentary-style clip Eli and I had been working on for months. A feature about women entrepreneurs who were dismissed by their own families and still rose anyway. The opening frame? Me, sitting beside that same Porsche, saying softly, my father didn't come to my wedding. But he showed me what not showing up can teach a woman. I hit post. Within minutes, notifications exploded. Thousands of views. Comments flooding in, women from every corner of the internet saying, same. By noon, local media outlets were sharing it. Then business journals. Then news sites. Designer Ava Lockhart's viral story redefining family legacy, one headline read. When Mom called again that afternoon, her voice was breaking between tears and pride. Your father saw the video. His, quiet, but he's been watching it on repeat. I didn't know what to say. There were no victory speeches for this kind of moment. Only a deep ache, the kind that comes when you win something you never wanted to compete for. That evening, Dad texted me for the first time in years. I was wrong. You didn't build from silence, you built from strength. Thank you for reminding me who raised you. I stared at that message until the screen dimmed. Then I smiled, small, real, unguarded. Because for once, he wasn't trying to reclaim the story. He was finally letting me tell it. And yet, one final page was still left to turn, the one I'd saved just for him. That night, I drove back to the Lockhart house one last time. The air felt still, almost ceremonial. The porch light glowed faintly, the same one that used to flicker when I'd sneak in past curfew as a teenager. Only this time, I wasn't sneaking. Dad opened the door himself. No tension this time. No mask of authority. Just a man standing in front of the mess he'd helped build. "You didn't have to come," he said softly. "I know," I replied. "But I wanted to end this right." I handed him a small silver flash drive. "What's this?" "The full version of the documentary," I said. "You're in it. The part where I talk about how even the people who hurt us can still shape who we become. I didn't edit you out." He blinked, stunned. "You could've." "I thought about it," I admitted. "But forgiveness isn't about erasing someone. It's about acknowledging they existed, and moving anyway." For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then he stepped forward and pulled me into a quiet, awkward hug, the kind that carries years of unspoken apologies. "You became everything I hoped for," he whispered. "I just didn't realize it would take losing you to see it." Mom wiped her eyes from the doorway. "Dinner's still warm," she said gently. We sat together again, 3 people, no performance, no debt. Just presence. No words about the car, the company, or the past. Only laughter, tentative, trembling, but real. Later that night, as I drove away, I looked at their house in the mirror. The same one that once symbolized rejection now just looked small. I smiled to myself. Because revenge hadn't come from hurting them, it came from healing without their permission. And for the first time, the road ahead felt clean, quiet, and mine.